It happened last year, Black Friday. I had promised myself that this time I wouldn't miss the deals. There was a laptop on sale, the one I'd been wanting for weeks. I had saved the ad on my phone. I was so excited, so unaware of what I was walking into. When I reached the Walmart parking lot, it was chaos. Hundreds of cars, people yelling, carts crashing, babies crying. It felt less like shopping and more like a war zone. The security guard at the door looked exhausted, his eyes dark, his posture slouched, as if he'd been standing there since last night. The glass doors slid open automatically. Beep, and I stepped into madness. The noise hit me first. People arguing, running, grabbing whatever they could. It was like greed had replaced humanity. I made my way straight to the electronics section. Neon lights flickered above me, and the shelves were half empty. At the far end, there was a red sign. Laptop sale, 70% off. My heart started pounding. I could already picture it on my desk, shiny, brand new, mine. But when I got there, my excitement froze. Only one box was left. I bent down, picked it up, and hugged it against my chest. Victory. That's when I heard it, a deep, raspy voice behind me. "That's mine." I turned around. A man stood there, mid-40s, messy hair, dirty jacket with faded stains, and eyes so red they looked painful. I stammered, I'm sorry, but I grabbed it first." He didn't reply. He just took a slow step toward me, then another. The crowd around us was too loud to notice. Someone was laughing, someone yelling, but all I could hear was the sound of his shoes scraping the floor. I stepped back and tried to sound calm. "Look, maybe the staff can check the back, they might still have." He suddenly shouted, "I said, that's mine!" People nearby looked for a second, then went back to shopping. I didn't wait. I turned around, pushed my cart, and rushed toward the checkout. He followed me. I could feel his stare on the back of my neck. I swiped my card, grabbed the box, and hurried outside. The cold air hit me. My hands were shaking as I unlocked my car, and before getting in, I glanced back. He was standing inside the store, staring at me through the glass doors. Not moving, just watching. I started the engine and drove off. I remember laughing nervously and muttering to myself, people go crazy over discounts. But deep down, something didn't feel right. When I got home, I dropped the box on the table. Mom called from the kitchen. "Took you long enough." I thought there was a fight or something. I forced a laugh. There almost was. That night, around 9 p.m., I finally sat down to open the laptop. The house was quiet, just the sound of the wind brushing against the window. I sliced the tape open. Everything inside looked fine. But under the laptop, there was a small folded note. I frowned, picked it up, and unfolded it. One sentence, written in messy, smudged ink. "You took what was mine." My hands went cold. I stared at it for a few seconds, then quickly shut the box. Mom noticed my face. "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing. Probably a prank." I convinced myself it was nothing. I turned off the lights and went to bed. 3 a.m. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I declined. It rang again, then again. I sighed, grabbed it, and whispered, "Hello?" Nothing. Just the sound of breathing, slow, heavy. "Who is this?" A pause. Then that same voice, low and broken. "It's mine." I froze. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. I hung up immediately. The room felt colder suddenly. I looked toward the window. Empty street, no one there. I told myself it was some prank. Maybe someone saw my number at the store. Yeah, that had to be it. I put my phone down and tried to sleep again. 5 minutes later, my car alarm started blaring outside. I jumped out of bed, ran to the window, and my stomach dropped. There was someone standing by my car, tall, thin, wearing the same black jacket. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I knew it was him. I yanked the curtains shut. Mom woke up. "What happened?" "There's someone outside," I whispered, trembling. Mom grabbed her phone and called the police. While she was on the call, I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks at the front door. Then his voice, cold, empty. "I know you're in there." I wanted to scream but couldn't. Mom said, "Don't open the door." Then, bang, a loud crash, like someone kicking the door. I screamed. Mom yelled into the phone, "Please hurry." 2 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed outside. The man was gone. Police searched around the house, footprints on the porch, smudged handprints on the door, but no one in sight. When they checked the neighbors' security cameras, the footage made no sense. At the exact time the knocking happened, there was no one there. No man, no shadow, just the door moving slightly on its own. The officers exchanged glances, then said, "Sometimes the camera light plays tricks." But I knew what I saw. I heard him. I felt him. That night changed everything. I never went back to Walmart again. I work, or maybe I should say I used to work, on the night shift at Walmart, because after that night, I never went back. For 3 years, I'd been doing stocking shifts. I liked the quiet. No customers, no noise, just soft lights, and the steady hum of the freezers. Usually there were 3 of us, me, Mark, and Steve. But that night, for some reason, both of them called in sick. The manager told me over the phone, "Jason, it'll just be you and the new guy tonight. Name's Chris. Not a busy shift, you'll be fine." I nodded, though he couldn't see me. "Sure, sir." No problem. At exactly 11:30 p.m., I unlocked the sliding doors and stepped inside Walmart. The store was wrapped in silence, except for that soft buzzing from the fridges. Chris was already there, skinny, short hair, quiet type. I said, "Hey, new here, right?" He smiled nervously. "Yeah, first day." I patted his shoulder. "Don't worry. Nights here are peaceful." He laughed. If only I knew. That would be the biggest lie I ever told. Soft hum of fluorescent lights in background. At midnight, we started working. I was in the cleaning aisle, stacking shampoos and detergents. Chris was next to me in aisle 7. I could hear his faint footsteps moving back and forth. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, just for a second. I looked up. Probably voltage fluctuation, I thought. Then they came back on. But that's when I heard it. Someone whispered my name, very softly, right behind me. "Jason." I froze, turned around. No one. The aisle was empty. I chuckled nervously. "Chris, is that you, man?" No answer. I walked to the next aisle. Chris wasn't there. "Hey, where'd you go?" I called out. Only silence replied. I noticed a box had fallen on the floor. Plastic cups scattered everywhere. I bent down to pick it up, and that's when I saw it. Someone was standing under the shelf. I swear, I saw a man crouched beneath the bottom shelf, wearing a black jacket, staring right at me. I stumbled backward. "Hey, who's there?" But when I looked again, he was gone. Just gone. My heart started racing. I called Chris. "Where the hell are you, man?" He answered casually. "I'm in the break room, grabbing a sandwich." "Why?" "Nothing," I said quickly. "Thought someone was here." He laughed. "Maybe a rat, bro." I ended the call, but that uneasy feeling stayed, like something had been watching me from behind the shelves. Around 1 a.m., I decided to take a break too. On the way to the break room, I passed aisle 9, the toys section. The lights were dim there. Rows of dolls staring blankly into the dark made it even creepier. I was halfway through when one doll's head fell off. I froze. Then another, and another. One by one, they started dropping, as if someone inside the shelves was pushing them out. I grabbed my flashlight, shined it underneath. Nothing. No one. I walked faster. When I entered the break room, Chris was sitting there eating his sandwich. I said, "Hey, you didn't happen to go near aisle 9, did you?" He looked confused. "What?" "No, I've been right here." I hesitated. "Someone was knocking dolls off the shelves." He shrugged. "It's an old store, man. Shelves sometimes shake on their own." I nodded, trying to convince myself that he was right. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Background fades to low eerie hum. At around 2 a.m., I went to the office to check the CCTV feeds. Everything looked normal at first. Then, one frame made my stomach twist. On the screen showing aisle 9, there was someone standing there. A tall figure, dressed completely in black. His face, invisible, like it was swallowed by shadow. He just stood there, motionless. Then slowly turned toward the wall and vanished. I yelled, "Chris, get in here, quick!" He came running. I pointed at the monitor. But the feed was empty now. Nothing. "Probably a glitch," he said. "Glitches don't move like people," I whispered. We decided to stick together for the rest of the night. I took the cleaning aisle. He took groceries. We worked in silence for a while. Then out of nowhere, the store speakers turned on. A children's nursery rhyme started playing. Soft, slow, echoing through the empty aisles. Chris looked terrified. "Who turned that on?" "I'll check," I said. I walked back to the office, the monitors flickering with static. Every camera was down, except one. Aisle 9. There he was again, the man in black. At first his back was to the camera. Then slowly, very slowly, he turned around. His face wasn't human. It looked like swirling black smoke, with two glowing eyes burning inside it. I stepped back, my throat locked. And then, everything shut down. Lights, screens, music, gone. Chris came running, panicked. "What happened?" "He's here," I stammered. "He's inside the store." We ran toward the exit doors, but the auto lock engaged itself. We pulled, kicked, nothing opened. Darkness surrounded us. Then a voice, deep, distorted, echoed from behind the aisles. "This place isn't yours after dark." Chris pointed the flashlight, and there he was, standing right there. A tall shadow in a black coat. No face, just smoke. We stumbled back. I pulled open a freezer door and hid inside. Footsteps echoed closer. Slow, heavy. Then they stopped. Right in front of the freezer. I held my breath. The glass door began to fog up. And then from the other side, a finger slowly wrote on the mist. "Jason." My eyes filled with tears. I shut them tight, waiting. When I finally opened them again, it was morning. The lights were on, the doors were unlocked, but Chris was gone. Police came. They searched the entire store. Nothing. The CCTV footage, completely clean. No black figure, no static, no trace of anything. 3 days later, they found Chris's body behind the store. Cause of death, cardiac arrest due to extreme fear. No one knows who or what the man in black was. Some say a security guard died on that same floor years ago. His body was never found. I quit my job right after that. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind blows outside my window, I swear I can hear a whisper behind me. "This place isn't yours after dark." Background music fades out. Low, eerie wind sound remains. Narrator, softly. "Some places are safe, only while the lights are on. When night falls, they come alive." My name is Samantha. I'm 20 years old and I work at a Walmart in a small Alabama town called Jackson. Life here is simple. Small houses, quiet streets, and people who lock their doors and go to bed by 8. But Walmart never slept, at least not when I worked there. I didn't go to school full time, so my boss usually gave me the night shifts, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., the hours when the whole world sleep, and I was the only one folding jeans inside a silent store. Walmart was huge, so huge that if you stood at one corner, the lights on the other side looked dim and ghostly. And when silence settled in, even the sound of your own footsteps felt like someone else walking behind you. That night, my shift was in the men's department. I had my headphones on, nodding to some old country song, folding jeans like every other night. Around 11:30 p.m., a customer walked up, tall, thin, quiet, his face expressionless, but his eyes lingered for a second too long. He asked if we had a particular size in jeans. I smiled and said, "Whatever's on the rack is what we have, sir." He just nodded, "Thanks," and turned around. But when he went back to the shelf, he looked up again, straight at me. For a second, our eyes met. It was only a moment, but something about it felt wrong, like he knew me somehow. I quickly looked away, pretending to fix the display, but inside, a small alarm bell started ringing. After midnight, Walmart turns into something else, not a store. More like an empty shell filled with buzzing lights and shadows that move when you're not looking. I was now in the appliance section, stacking coffee makers and microwaves. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone standing in the next aisle. A man in a black jacket watching me. When I turned to look, he instantly turned away. My heart skipped. Was that the same guy from earlier? I pushed my trolley to the next aisle, but it was empty and no one there, just rows of silent machines staring back at me. Maybe I imagined it, I whispered to myself, but deep down I knew I hadn't. That uneasy feeling, the one that crawls slowly up your spine, it had already started. I went to the stockroom for a bit. It was usually warmer and noisier there. Machines running, boxes being opened, coworkers chatting. But tonight, it was quiet, too quiet. I sat down in the break room and pulled out my phone, scrolled through Facebook for a few minutes, pretending to relax. But the longer I sat there, the more my gut told me, don't go back to the appliance section. So instead, I decided to head to the dairy section. Cold, yes, but at least it felt of. The moment I stepped inside the cooler, a blast of icy air hit me. My fingers went numb as I started stacking crates of milk and yogurt. The hum of the refrigerator was loud, so loud it drowned out every other sound. And yet, I heard the door creak open. I froze. The yogurt cup in my hand trembled. Slowly, I peeked around a tall crate, and my blood ran cold. It was him, the same man from the men's department and the same one who had been watching me earlier. He was inside the staff-only cooler, where no customer should ever be. I didn't think, I just acted. I crouched behind a stack of large boxes filled with eggs, pulled another box in front of me, and tried to quiet my breathing. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. Between the hum of the fridge, I could make out faint footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. Maybe he's just checking something. Maybe I'm overreacting. I told myself, but my brain knew the truth. Minutes passed, no sound, no movement. I slowly lifted my head, and he was right there. He was leaning over the boxes, smiling, a small, twisted grin that didn't reach his eyes. I screamed as loud as I could. His smile vanished. He lunged forward, trying to cover my mouth, but I grabbed the box and shoved it into his face. Eggs exploded across the floor, and he stumbled back. That was my only chance. I ran. My hands were shaking, lungs burning, but I didn't stop until I saw another worker, Bob. I ran straight to him, crying, "There's someone here. Someone's hiding in the cooler." The fake corporate officer. Before Bob could respond, the same man walked out from behind a shelf. I froze. He smiled calmly and said, "Oh, sorry for the confusion. I'm from corporate, just doing a late-night inspection." Bob immediately relaxed. And, "Oh, we weren't informed, but okay," I shouted. "Then why were you hiding? Why did you try to grab me?" And he chuckled nervously. "Misunderstanding. I didn't want to startle you." And then he added, "Anyway, go finish up in the appliance section, okay?" Before I could say another word, he turned and walked away. "Wait, what's your name?" I yelled. He didn't look back. "Tom," he said, and disappeared down the aisle. The next morning. The next day, I told my manager, Margaret, everything. "There was a man here last night," I said. "He said he was from corporate, but something wasn't right." Margaret frowned. "Corporate? At 2 in the morning? Samantha, no one from corporate was scheduled." She immediately pulled up the CCTV footage, and there he was, that same man, wandering through aisles, hiding behind shelves, following me for hours. They called the police. Turns out the man had been sneaking into the store at night for days, hiding inside before closing time. I still remember. I still can't forget that night. Now, I only work day shifts where there's light, noise, and people, but sometimes when I step outside at night and catch a shadow moving far down the street, my heart starts to race again because I can't help but feel that Tom never really left. Maybe he's still out there, hiding in some aisle, waiting for another Samantha to walk by.